Wow, you made it. Welcome to the part of the story where the mask slips. Not because you begged for truth, but because you kept the screenshots. Yeah, those screenshots. The ones you almost deleted. The ones you took while your hands were shaking. The ones you saved like a paranoid little habit because something in you whispered, "One day they'll deny this." And they did. Of course they did. They laughed. They smirked. They tried that cute little performance where they act confused, like you imagined it, like you're doing too much, like you're emotional, like you're crazy. And you almost believed it for a second, didn't you? Not because you're stupid, because you're human. Because you wanted peace more than you wanted to be right. Because you were trained by life, by trauma, by relationships, by workplaces, by family, to swallow disrespect and call it maturity. But then, you did the one thing that changes the entire game. You kept proof. You didn't scream. You didn't make a scene. You didn't go on a revenge tour. You just archived reality. And now, somewhere in a quiet office with cold lighting and a printer that never stops, their attorney read your screenshots and said the only sentence that matters: apologize now. You hear that? Not clarify, not deny, not explain. Apologize. Because the law doesn't care how charming you are. Paper doesn't care how loud you talk. Evidence doesn't care how pretty your excuses look on social media. Screenshots are brutal. Screenshots don't have mood swings. Screenshots don't get gaslit. Screenshots don't forget. Screenshots don't misinterpret. Screenshots just sit there like a corpse on the floor while everyone argues about who stabbed who. Let's talk about what that moment really means. It means you weren't overthinking. It means you weren't too sensitive. It means your gut wasn't anxiety. It was a damn alarm system. It means the thing you felt at 2:13 a.m. when your chest got tight and your stomach dropped. That wasn't weakness. That was awareness. And now the world is finally catching up to what you already knew. Because here's the part nobody teaches you. The most dangerous people aren't the ones who openly hate you. It's the ones who can hurt you and still convince everyone you deserved it. The ones who smile while they twist the knife. The ones who weaponize, "I was just joking." The ones who casually ruin your reputation, then act shocked when you bleed. The ones who keep their hands clean and their stories dirty. And you were supposed to stay quiet. You were supposed to be the bigger person. You were supposed to let it go. You were supposed to forgive without accountability. You were supposed to move on without justice. That was the deal. Your role was to suffer politely, but you didn't. You kept the receipts, and now their whole little empire of plausible deniability is shaking like cheap glass. Listen, when someone's attorney tells them to apologize immediately, that's not regret. That's panic wearing a tie. That's damage control. That's someone finally realizing the game they were playing with you has rules, and they just broke them in 4K. So don't you dare minimize this moment. Don't you dare act like it's small. This is the moment you stop being the person people test. This is the moment you become the person people think twice about. Because you're not dealing with feelings anymore. You're dealing with facts, and facts don't care if they're offended. Facts don't care if they're embarrassed. Facts don't care if they didn't mean it like that. Facts only care about what happened, and what happened is written in their own words. Now let's make this personal. You know what it feels like when somebody plays with your reality. When they say one thing to your face and another thing behind your back. When they do something foul and then act like you're the problem for noticing. When they say, "You're twisting my words," while literally twisting your mind into knots. That's not conflict. That's psychological warfare. And you survived it. You walked around with a smile while your nervous system was screaming. You over-explained yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You apologized for things that weren't even your fault, just to keep the peace. And the whole time, they got comfortable. They got sloppy. They said the quiet part out loud. They typed what they shouldn't have typed. They admitted what they shouldn't have admitted. They threatened. They mocked. They implied. They hinted. And you captured it. Because something in you is not built to be prey forever. Now you need to understand what's happening right now. If they suddenly come back sweet, if they suddenly sound respectful, if they suddenly want to talk like adults, if they suddenly want to clear the air, that's not growth. That's strategy. Because when people realize they've left evidence, they don't become good. They become careful. So don't get hypnotized by the apology. An apology can be a weapon. A fake apology is not closure. A fake apology is a reset button. For them, it's them trying to crawl back into a version of reality where you forget you have power. And you don't need an apology the way you used to. You used to need it to feel sane. You used to need it to feel seen. You used to need it like oxygen, because you were trying to prove to yourself you weren't crazy. But you're past that now, because the attorney already told you everything you need to know. You're not crazy. You're correct. And the funniest part, they didn't even apologize because they care about you. They apologized because they care about what the screenshots can do to them. So take the apology for what it is. A confession with makeup on. Now listen to me closely. This isn't about revenge. This is about elevation. This is about that version of you that used to tolerate disrespect because you didn't want to be difficult. That version of you that used to keep the peace at the cost of your self-respect. That version of you that would rather lose quietly than be seen as dramatic. That person is getting retired because you're learning a grown-up lesson most people never learn until it ruins them. Your boundaries aren't real until there are consequences. You can say, "Don't do that," 1,000 times. But if nothing happens when they do it, they'll keep doing it. Not because they're confused, because they're comfortable. So let's talk consequences, not loud consequences, not childish consequences, not you blowing up your life. I'm talking about clean consequences, cold consequences, quiet consequences, the kind that makes people feel your absence like a missing tooth. The kind that makes them replay the moment they decided to disrespect you and feel their stomachs sink. Because consequences are the language some people actually understand. Now here's the part that's going to sting. They didn't treat you like that because you deserved it. They treated you like that because you allowed access to you without requiring respect. And before you get defensive, good. That sting, that's your dignity waking up. Because the moment you stop needing people to like you, you become terrifying. The moment you stop arguing with liars, you become unstoppable. The moment you stop trying to convince people to see your worth, you start moving like someone who already knows it. And that's when the world starts acting different around you. Because people can sense it. They can sense when you're still auditioning for approval. And they can sense when you've graduated. Now imagine their attorney reading those screenshots. Let's visualize it. Not the dramatic version, the real one. A professional, paid to protect them, sees your evidence and realizes, oh, this isn't a misunderstanding. This is a pattern. This is intent. This is them saying exactly what you claimed they said. This is them admitting what they claimed they didn't do. This is them threatening what they claimed they'd never threaten. This is them playing games that stop being funny when there's a record. And that attorney, who does not care about emotions, who does not care about vibes, who does not care about who's right spiritually, cares about one thing: exposure, risk, loss. So when they say, apologize, now what they're really saying is, stop feeding them ammunition. Stop making this worse. Stop talking. Stop writing. Stop being stupid. Because your screenshots aren't just screenshots. They are leverage. Not because you're trying to destroy someone, but because you finally have proof of what happened. And proof changes everything. Proof turns whispers into headlines. Proof turns your word against theirs into their words against themselves. Proof turns your being dramatic into, we need to fix this before it escalates. Now tell me, how many times have you sat there and thought, if I had evidence, they wouldn't be able to lie? Well, you got it. So here's what you do next. You don't celebrate too early. You don't get sloppy. You don't start performing victory. You stay calm. Calm is lethal. Because a calm says, I'm not chasing you. I'm not begging you. I'm not negotiating my dignity. Calm says, I already have what I need. And if they apologize, you let them. But you don't let them rewrite the story. You don't let them soften the damage. You don't let them turn it into both sides. Some people live for that. They live for the fog. They live for confusion. They live for the gray area where they can keep hurting you while acting innocent. Your job now is to remove the fog. Not with screaming, with clarity. Because clarity is a blade, and it cuts clean. Let me give you a line you need to tattoo into your brain. An apology without accountability is just manipulation wearing perfume. If they apologize and then act like you should just move on instantly, watch them. If they apologize and then make it about how hurt they are that you're hurt, watch them. If they apologize and then demand forgiveness like it's a refund, watch them. If they apologize and then try to guilt you for holding on to the past, watch them. That's not remorse. That's a control attempt, a new angle, a nicer mask. And you're not the same audience you used to be. You don't clap for performances anymore. Now I want you to understand something deeper. This isn't just about them. This is about you evolving into a person that doesn't need to be rescued. Because a lot of people walk around hoping the world will finally be fair. They're waiting for karma. They're waiting for justice. They're waiting for someone to finally see what they've been through. And sometimes that never comes. Unless you become the type of person who documents reality, protects yourself, and stops giving the benefit of the doubt to people who repeatedly prove they don't deserve it. You don't need to be paranoid. You need to be prepared. There's a difference. Prepared people aren't bitter. Prepared people are free because they're not trapped in wishful thinking. They're not stuck in maybe they'll change. They don't bet their peace on someone else's maturity. They move with eyes open, and eyes open is power. So, let's talk about the real reason this hits so hard. It's not just that they got caught. It's that you spent so much time doubting yourself. You replayed conversations in your head. You wondered if you misunderstood. You asked friends for perspective. You tried to be fair. You tried to be kind. While they were out there, comfortable, telling a completely different story. And the emotional tax of that. It's brutal. It makes you quiet. It makes you smaller. It makes you hesitate. It makes you second-guess every instinct you have. It turns you into someone who asks permission to exist. And then one day you see the proof, and it's like your soul stands up straight again. That is what's happening right now. Your spine is coming back. Your voice is coming back. That old version of you that used to accept crumbs is watching you like, oh, so we're done being played. Yes, you're done. But don't confuse done with loud. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to threaten. You don't need to post subliminals. You don't need to prove anything. You just move differently. Because here's the secret. When you stop needing closure, you become the closure. When you stop needing answers, you become the answer. When you stop begging for respect, you become the standard. And people feel that shift like gravity changing. Now imagine this, because this is where it gets delicious. Imagine them trying to talk their way out of it. Imagine them trying to spin it. Imagine them trying to say, that's not what I meant. And you just stare, not angry, not crying, just staring, because you know. And they know you know. And that is the most terrifying room anyone can stand in. A room where the truth is present, and you're not willing to pretend anymore. That's when people fold. That's when people start offering apologies they never planned to give. That's when people start checking in. That's when people start wanting to be cool. Because they can't intimidate you with confusion anymore. You're not confused. You're awake. Now let's turn this into something useful, something you can actually apply. From this moment on, I want you to operate by 3 rules. Rule 1, stop explaining to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. If they wanted clarity, they'd ask questions. If they wanted peace, they'd act peaceful. If they wanted truth, they wouldn't punish you for telling it. So stop performing your pain for an audience that enjoys it. Rule 2. Make your boundaries boring. No speeches, no long paragraphs, no 2 a.m. essays, just simple. I'm not available for that. That doesn't work for me. No, I'm not continuing this conversation. We can speak when it's respectful. Boring boundaries are powerful because there's nothing to argue with. Rule 3. Let people experience the full weight of losing access to you. Not as revenge, as reality. If your presence was a privilege, they should have treated it like one. If your kindness was valuable, they shouldn't have exploited it. If your loyalty was rare, they shouldn't have played with it. Loss is the only teacher some people listen to. Now here comes the part that's going to mess with your head. You're going to feel guilty because you're a person with a conscience, because you're not a monster, because you don't like hurting people, because you still remember the good moments, and your empathy will start whispering, maybe I'm being harsh. Maybe I should give them another chance. Maybe I should just let it go. That's not empathy. That's conditioning. That's the old you trying to return to a familiar cage because freedom feels unfamiliar. But you didn't come this far to go back. You didn't survive disrespect just to hand them your throat again. You didn't collect proof just to throw it away for a pretty apology. You're not here to be nice. You're here to be respected. And if respect requires distance, then distance becomes self-love. Now I want you to see how this applies beyond this one situation, because it's not just them. It's the job that pushes your boundaries and then acts shocked when you say no. It's the friend who only calls when they need something. It's the family member who insults you and calls it honesty. It's the partner who crosses lines and then blames your reaction. It's the world that tries to convince you that protecting yourself is too much, and you're done with too much. Because the truth is, you were never too much. You were just too real for people who live in games. You were just too honest for people who survive through manipulation. You were just too self-aware for people who need you insecure so they can feel powerful. So now the universe gives you a moment like this. Their attorney read your screenshots and said, "Apologize now." That's not just their panic. That's your confirmation. That's life saying, you weren't wrong. That's life saying, trust yourself. That's life saying, stop doubting your instincts. So what do you do with confirmation? You don't gloat. You upgrade. You take this as a turning point, a line in the sand, a new identity. You become the person who doesn't get played twice. You become the person who doesn't ignore red flags because you miss the fantasy. You become the person who doesn't confuse potential with character. You become the person who listens the first time someone shows you who they are. And you keep your softness, but you wrap it in steel, because softness without boundaries becomes self-destruction. But softness with boundaries becomes dangerous, in the best way, because now you can love deeply without being naive. You can trust without being blind. You can give without being drained. You can exist without needing permission. And people can sense that you're not a free playground anymore. Now, let's talk about the little voice in your head that's still scared. The one that says, what if they retaliate? What if they smear me? What if they make me look bad? What if I lose people? Listen, if you stand up for yourself, you will lose people. That's true. But let me tell you what you're actually losing. You're losing people who benefited from you having no boundaries. You're losing people who liked you better when you were easier to disrespect. You're losing people who needed you quiet so they could stay comfortable. That's not loss, that's cleanup. And what you gain peace. You gain self-respect. You gain a nervous system that finally unclenches. You gain sleep. You gain the ability to look in the mirror and not feel ashamed for betraying yourself again. That's the reward, not their apology, your peace. Now here's the funny part about power. Real power doesn't look like screaming. It looks like being so stable in yourself that other people's chaos can't move you. It looks like silence that makes people nervous. It looks like a smile that says, I'm not angry, I'm awake. It looks like you walking away without explaining yourself. It looks like you choosing yourself without guilt. That's the kind of power you're stepping into, and it will scare people because they're used to you negotiating your dignity. They're used to you giving one more chance. They're used to you being the bigger person while they stay small. They're used to you absorbing the damage and calling it love. But now you're the kind of person whose presence comes with standards, and that changes everything. So if they apologize, let them sweat. Let them stumble over their words. Let them suddenly discover empathy. Let them suddenly respect you. But don't forget what made it happen. Not their morality, your evidence, your calm, your backbone, your refusal to be rewritten. And if you're smart, and I know you are, You'll stop craving apologies from people who only speak truth when they're cornered. You'll start craving alignment, consistency, behavior, because words are cheap. Screenshots prove that too. Now I want you to do something in your mind. I want you to replay every time you let something slide, every time you laughed it off, every time you said it's fine when it wasn't, every time you swallowed a boundary to avoid conflict. Now I want you to imagine that version of you watching you right now, watching you step into a life where you don't tolerate disrespect, watching you become a person who documents, protects, and enforces. And I want you to feel that old you breathe for the first time. Because deep down, you've been waiting for this. Not the attorney, not the apology. The moment you finally choose yourself without shaking. And you're close. You're so close.